All right, hello everyone. Welcome to my Zwift racing channel, among other things. The race that I'm about to show you here, this is the stage one race of the OG Racing series. So the new racing series for the month of June. And we'll go ahead and jump into the race here. All right, of course, getting ready, getting in the right gear. You know it's going to be hot out of the gate as usual. So getting ready to put that power down. I've learned from previous races to try not to go too hot out of the gate. I was finding that I was flying out front, and then I'm just kind of burning matches unnecessarily, so I've tried to back it off a little bit, just enough so I can stay kind of in the front group. So I'm still getting that draft effect. Still staying with them, not letting them pull away too far, but not burning too many matches to be up front. Even in this case, you can see I'm getting a little too far ahead. There are those couple riders that are up there off the front, but I know if once our group forms together, we're going to catch them quickly, especially with the climb that we're shortly about to hit. So I back off a little bit here, just keeping the pressure on, letting the group form up ahead of this climb. So you can see we're starting to clump up nicely here. For my sauce widgets there, you can see there's 55 close by. Obviously this little group right here is a little bit smaller than that, and it's going to quickly diminish as we start this climb. All right, so this forward KOM segment starts right there. So you see the grade quickly goes up to 6 or 7%. Gets really steep right after this corner here. So you got to put a lot of pressure on. I wanted to feel this out just to see how much the group was going to push. So I decided to try to chase down this guy up front, see what he was doing, what the rest of the group was going to be able to hold. So I'm kind of in line with him right now. You can see they're just over 5 watts a kilo. I can hold this for a few minutes, so I'm not too worried about this right now. You can see the rest of the group is staying pretty close. They're only a couple, 2-3 seconds behind. So fortunately not too crazy here. It flattens out, so I know we're going to back off a little bit, and then it kicks up again. So you can see we've already dropped, the main group I was in has already dropped 8 riders there off the back. They're stretching out quite a bit. So I ended up deciding I'm just going to put the same amount of pressure I was putting on the first part of the climb, just to see what kind of separation I could get. So he's that rider, Mercier. Might be totally butchering that. It looks like he's from Canada, so it might be French. I didn't realize this at the time, and not until at the end of the race, but at least according to his tag, 13 years old. So very impressive. He's got to weigh less than half of what I weigh. So good on him to be able to put that power down. So he stays with me. So the two of us are up here. Now you can see we've got a 10-second gap for the rest of the group. So ideally, maybe if we had a couple more people, we could have stayed off the front and just built on this. But the problem with this long descent coming up, those larger groups just always catch unless we're really putting down the power. And I think both of us were recovering from that effort going up. That was a little hotter than we thought. And so I realized we're going to get caught, especially when you see the speeds that group behind us is able to achieve on those descents. So I figured, I'll just try to get some recovery, lower the heart rate down, and just plan to tag up with this group. And it looks like this rider with me is pretty much doing the same thing or planning the same thing. This kind of bugged me. I'm half-wheeling this. Really need to slip behind him and try to get more draft. So that gap, you can see, has already dropped down to 9 seconds. You know, we're starting the descent, so our speed's picking up a little bit. But you can see they're averaging a lot less power, and they're already matching and exceeding our speed. So it's just a matter of time. And again, there's still a lot of race left. You can see they're just 15.5 kilometers left. So really not enough gap or opportunity to grow that gap. So I'm thinking at this point, okay, we'll see what happens on the second time through this. Maybe there is an opportunity, but I always try to take these first laps to feel out the course. Obviously, I've ridden these roads like many people many times, but every race is a little bit different to see what the group's wanting to do, who's going to push, where the attacks are going to come. So I really try to scope where I think the best place or best chance for an attack would be, at least for my skill set. I'm not a sprinter, so I'm experimenting with trying to go a little further out, not too far out. I'm not a time trialist either, so I can't just lay down constant power for long enough to stay away. So it's always that balance. But at this point, I'm just accepting the fact that we're about to get caught here. So you can see the gap's down to only 4 seconds now, and we're coming up on the steepest part of the descent. So they're just going to catch us very quickly. Yeah, at this point I realized, I could have been super tucking that for a little bit. Almost too late. And here comes the group, so now I gotta get that power up for a moment so I can latch on and match their speed. I do hit my draft boost power up here. Figured, might as well use it. Just help me slip into this group now. So you can see we were, 55 at the start of the race, quickly down to 40, and now there's 13 of us. There is a chase group, right? They're only 12 seconds behind, but I think I'll have to see if they catch us. I can't remember if they catch us or not, or if we're able to stay away with a large enough group now. But now it's just a matter of sitting in, trying to stay off the front, using as little energy and power as possible. But of course, being prepared for any possible attacks and trying not to get left behind. All right, on these little climbs, you always get someone that kind of goes a little harder off the front. Not too worried about it. There's always a few folks that are going to try to chase. They don't just necessarily realize the strength and power that comes from staying in the group, in the peloton. We're going to be able to chase them down pretty quickly, so not too worried about going after them, especially on a downhill. If it was a climb, that would be different. All right, little combo section here. We're getting ready for the sprint. Chance for another power up before the S's and those little little climbs. We are able to put a larger gap for that chase group, so I think we do manage to stay away. So here I'm doing not riding too smart. I shouldn't be on the front there. Uses more energy to maintain that pace up front. So try to slip back behind and just sit in. All right, so for this race, you can see there were 3 power-up options. You had the draft boost, the feather, and the arrow. Fortunately, I lucked out, got the feather just before this climb here. Though I think I decided to save this feather until the KOM climb, because I know I will absolutely need it there. This climb is short enough. I just kind of felt it might be a waste. So I hold on to it. There's always folks that tend to push a little bit more here, so you just got to be ready for it. So again, not trying to get up front, just sticking with the group. Try to stay in their slipstream as much as I can. So you can see there I'm already dropping off my power because I was creeping up to the front. Alright, so now we descend a little bit. The whole group stayed together, so no one was dropped on that little climb. Again, it's short enough, it's really hard to get any separation. Alright, we stretch out a little bit here, but again, not too much of a chase. We're all going to come back together shortly. Alright, got some rain and sunshine at the same time. So you can see we're all back together now. Chase group still about the same distance behind us, so we're not too worried. We're just going to keep this pace. So I did, about this time, I did start noticing that I'm just not recovering as fast as I had hoped. My heart rate is higher than normal for these powers. Part of that is, I'm guessing, is because I was on vacation last week at sea level. Normally, I live at 5,300 feet, so I think got to reacclimate a little bit to the altitude, so my heart's working a little bit harder than normal. But I'm doing my best here to recover on these sections, recognizing, of course, we got the big climb coming up, and I know because it's this last lap, people are going to push on that. So trying to save as many matches as I can to match that climb, and then see if we can't get a breakaway at some point before the finish. So still holding on to that feather. All right, so the chase groups brought the gap down a little bit. That looks like down to 12 seconds now. Again, everything's going to blow up here on the climb as it stretches out, and that group will have some folks that attack pretty hard. So we're going to, I think, be mixed pretty quickly on the climb. So you can see just as I'm about to start this climb, you can see my son behind me pops in, asking how much longer I'm going to be doing a race. So. In an hour. All right, here we go. So you can see the chase group, they're down within 10 seconds. And the climb starts. So unlike the first lap, I don't want to get up front. I know I'm not going to be able to get away, so it doesn't make any sense for me to try to push it hard here and get a gap, because they're just going to catch me, and that's just going to burn too many matches. So I decided I'm just going to sit in, again, try to stay with the front cyclists, just in case there is a break that forms. So you can see a little bit more power needed than last time, just to match them. Don't hit my feather yet. I decided, I know they're going a little hot in this first section. Once we hit the turn and then go up again, they're going to back off. So I'm just trying to stay close enough that they're not pulling away. But again, not try to burn too many matches. And then I'm going to use that feather on the second half of this climb, basically to allow me to recover and not lose contact. All right, so we hit the second climb here, and I hit my feather. Yep, there's the feather. All right, so a few more cyclists come in front of me, so I just drop in and follow them up. Again, not too worried about the rider off the front. We're going to catch him on the descent if we can all stay together. So I'm already near my max heart rate. So again, a little worrying for me. The longer I'm in that zone, the less I'm going to have at the end. So really try to recover here as quickly as I can. Keep pressure on. They're pushing to the arch. Can't quite back off yet. All right, we can finally back off a little bit, group up. Yeah, there's still the cyclist up there. You can see he's got a 5-second gap, but that's gonna disappear really quick. And now there's 7 of us, so we did manage to shed about half the group on that last push. And it turns out, not to spoil too much, but we aren't exactly able to stay away. But we'll get to that in a moment. So you can already see we're just coasting, and we've caught back up to the rider. I can't remember if that's Mercier or Mercier as well. Again, he's got to weigh nothing. That's how he gets up that climb so fast. Or she, shouldn't presume. All right, little push here. Got those little rise, 5%. Just got to keep the pressure on so we stay together. Not trying to chase too hard. So again, just recovering, trying to bring that heart rate down, get ready for the last half of this lap. It's not to the bottom of this, I realized we probably needed to push the pace a little bit more. I do super duck a little bit earlier this time. Go a little bit more recovery. See, it's warm in my gym there. I think it was 81 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday while riding. So it's one downside of riding in a west-facing room. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Lots of big windows in there. I do have the blinds shut though, trying to help keep it cooler. Got 3 fans on me. I'll try to keep me cool. All right, so we've made it down the descent, getting ready for some of these little climbs. You can see the chase group is 11 seconds back. But you can see there, they're putting more power out than we are. We're the carrot, so they're really trying to catch. I don't think my group either realizes it or maybe doesn't care. I typically don't text or chat during races, rather just focus on riding. But I considered for a moment getting on there going, hey, let's pick up the pace a little bit here so we don't get caught. But I said, well, if we get caught, then we get caught. So you see they've already got the gap down. Some take this little hill here as a chance to attack, try to really close that gap. And you can see there, I'm only doing 3 watts, a little bit 4 watts a kilo just to go up this climb. Really, we should have pushed harder if we wanted to stay away. So again, I'm trying to think, where do I want to launch my attack? If I'm going to have any chance to try to win this or get a good podium finish. You can see there, I just checked behind, just wanted to see really how close they looked. 5-second gap can be misleading sometimes. Flip back, yep, they can see us definitely. So they're motivated. And again, we're just not really pushing the pace, so. All right, so here I didn't quite get my timing right. I saw that I had the draft power up. I was hoping I was planning to use it and then roll the dice and hopefully I got a feather. Because I decided that I wanted to launch my attack on this first little climb after this sprint. It's kind of the longest, steepest climb, and you have the best chance of getting a gap, and then just kind of push through the S's. I've done it in other races before. But I should have used this draft power up sooner. Basically, this whole flat section, I should have been using it. You can see I popped it right then, so I can get roll the dice for the other power up. Fortunately, I do get the feather, so I'm like, yeah, I got the feather. Except I'm realizing just how slow that drafting boost is going. And Again, didn't time it quite right. You can see there I've now pushed through the group, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to keep going. I'm going to keep this momentum, hit the hill, and then I go to use the feather, and that's when I realized that I can't. It's not ready yet. So I could have gotten a larger separation here. Now I see the feathers available, but there's already a guy in front of me, so I'm like, okay, I'll just match him, not let him pull away. Again, I'll just keep the pressure on. I'm not going to back off here, especially if we want to try to stay away till the finish. So now I'm trying to figure out where the best place to use this feather is going to be now. We have these other little rollers. They're not very long. I don't want to lose momentum on the descents. So I'm trying to think here in real time which is the best hill to use that on. So you can see here there's two of us, and we are managing a small gap. We're a couple seconds from the chasers. I think the two nearest us do manage to close that gap. But you see we've got a 3-second gap. And now we just want to keep the pressure on and stay away from the rest of that little group. And so I'm still trying to figure out where to use that feather. I think here's where I decide to use it. No, not yet. So my heart rate's already at 182. Haven't had a chance to recover much as I'm trying to keep the pressure on and to stay away. Okay, there I popped the feather. I realize this is the last little climb before the finish, so I've got to use it now. And I think maybe I can get away, but with my heart rate already that high, I don't have much left to really try to push from these other three riders, and they're able to match me. So it's kind of where I realized, like, okay, all right, let's regroup, and I'll just try my hand at a sprint. Which is what I didn't want to do, but at least now there's only 4 of us instead of 11 or more. So we are able to stay away from the rest of the group here to the finish. So now it's a cat and mouse game. You can see that we're all dropping off power, waiting to see who's going to launch, and everything in me is telling me I should not wait to try to match someone else's attack. I just need to go and cross my fingers, because if I wait for someone to go, it's already too late. So then, there goes Mercier. They've all got the arrow boosts. I've got nothing. So I'm trying to give it all I can, and I'm just cooked though from that last effort there to try to stay away. So I'm hoping I can gain on at least this guy in front of me and get 3rd place, but I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. And just get in there. So all in all, I was happy with my effort, especially since I didn't ride it all last week. Was able to stay with the front group and make it all the way to the finish. Just missed a podium, but overall happy. As I pull up my results for the C group here in a moment, that's when I noticed that the rider that won was only 13. So I got on there and gave him props. But then you'll also notice they averaged 4.2 watts a kilo. So I thought, well, maybe they're not in the right category. They probably should be racing Bs or maybe even As. But I gave him props. Good for him. Certainly pushed us and gave us a good run for our money. And it turns out Zwift Power did disqualify him for exceeding the limits, and so I did manage to squeak in, according to Zwift Power, on a 3rd place podium. Anyways, that's stage 1 of June's Zwift Racing monthly series, OG Racing.